How's it going, guys? And welcome back to Beyond the Arc. And the playoffs are now officially underway. They were when the last episode got released, but when we recorded it, we were just a little bit before it started. But
Mm.
playoff basketball has now started, and just a quick check in. How are we liking the playoffs so far, Sully?
I'm enjoying it, man. I'm loving it. I can't lie. The only game I didn't enjoy was the one me and you were constantly hitting each other during the game. The Chicago Bucks game was very underwhelming. I can't lie.
Yeah, but
But
I feel like that kind of stays in with what Milwaukee does in game ones.
yeah, but that's the thing. I wasn't too surprised. I was. I was. I feel like you guys could have won that game, which is kind of what annoys me.
Yeah.
But overall, the playoffs have been sick so far, especially Boston Nets game one. That game, and we were both hitting each other about that one. Wow, what an ending, man! I was hyped. I was hyped.
Yeah, I mean, even not as a Boston fan, you can't help but feel a little bit
Yeah,
happy about
hyped for
how that one
JT
ended.
because
Yeah,
that was just sick what he did, and it's been sick so far. Like every game has just been serving it up,
hmm
and it's just like the start of a good playoff series, hopefully.
yeah, definitely. But I mean, we will get on to talking about uh those two series and every other series that's been going on so far in a little bit more depth. But before we get on to that, make sure you subscribed to the YouTube. You're liking the video, you comment on that stuff. Make sure that you're sharing it out on if you're listening, no matter what you're listening on, whether it be YouTube or any other podcast platform. Make sure you're following us on social medias, most especially our TikTok, because
Yeah, plug
um,
that.
because I've been posting a little bit more on that recently. BTA.podcast. Make sure just checking it out. Little snippets of what's been going on in each episode, pretty much. And yeah, if we keep pushing that, then hopefully more success will come to the podcast. You never know. You never know. But anyway, I think yeah, we just without further ado, we should just get straight into it. And should we start with Brooklyn Boston?
Let's do it, man.
Like,
Because
because I've genuinely, ever since that first game, I've been thinking of what we could say about it on the podcast. And all that's been in my head has been just me asking you, could this have the potential to be one of the greatest series in the history of the NBA playoffs?
in the history, ooh,
Like, not even just first round, not in like the last so many
we're
years.
talking all series.
We're talking like forever. We're talking back in the MJ days. We're talking up
Damn,
up till LeBron against the Warriors. I don't know,
that's
like
a
it's not like it was one sided in a comeback. It was tight throughout the whole
it
game.
was
Boston pulled
it
away a little bit in
was
the third. Brooklyn ended up bringing it out back in the fourth. Kyrie Irving did bits,
literally
and then well, it just ended with the perfect game
perfect
winner
ending
from Jayson Tatum.
for real. I mean, we're gonna have to see how it plays out. I feel like that's one of the things you can call. You can only call like that at the end of the series. But if it's gonna play out the way we saw, it's definitely going 7 games.
Yeah, I was
I
gonna say,
can.
do we reckon that game one is gonna be a snippet of what's to come throughout
I
potentially these
feel
next six
one
games?
hundred percent, 100%. But also, so I feel like Nets are. It's such a weird one because this is the thing. On the podcast on here, when we did the predictions, I predicted Nets. Then when I did my NBA bracket, I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go Celtics, and
Was
I'm
this was this
undecided.
before? Was this before or after
This is
the
after I
game?
just changed my mind. I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go Celtics in 7. That's why I put on my NBA bracket. But I don't know. I'm because KD he didn't turn up in game one. I'm not gonna lie. He didn't. He was good, but he wasn't KD. Game two, if he's KD, they're not losing again. And do you know what? It's a weird one. But at the same time, KD's not gonna have 4 good games in a row because he's not a Superman. Just like how Kyrie might, next game might not be amazing or the game after. So I feel like it will definitely serve up 7 games, but I genuinely can't call it. From here, I can't call it.
Yeah, I mean, you are talking about a lot of variables in this. You know, Boston had 3 people in 20 points last night. Not last night, in
Yeah,
game one. Um, Brooklyn, obviously, KD, like you said, didn't have a good game, but Kyrie did.
Kyrie had an amazing game.
I personally, when I asked you that question, I was just waiting to see what your reaction would be. I don't think it'll be more of the same. I do think it might go 7, but I
Mm,
think the games won't be as close as it is because, like you said, KD isn't shooting 9 of 24
yeah,
at all throughout the rest of the series. But saying that, if Boston pull up with the same defense as they did in game one,
because they
there's potential that it could happen. I just want all the 4 games in Boston to happen because let's be honest, Kyrie's reaction. Let's talk about Kyrie's reaction to the Boston crowd.
I mean, I've seen a lot of videos. I've seen loads of things. I've seen post game reactions and interviews and everything. And all I've got to say is Kyrie responded in terms of on the court the best way
Hmm.
you can possibly respond to a hostile crowd.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Of
say
course,
you do stuff like
yeah,
you do stuff like that. You usually are gonna get clowned if you lose, but I don't think people have been clowning him. I think because of what he did, he put
yeah.
39
Come on,
points,
the guy. Yeah,
dominated that fourth quarter. I
he was
think a lot of people are,
he was amazing.
yeah,
He was amazing. 5 minutes into the fourth quarter, I think he had 16 points, which is absolutely unbelievable. Like, um, I genuinely think if this Kyrie that's playing right now turns up, Nets are gonna be a problem, a
hmm
big problem.
hmm
Because the thing is, like I said in the last episode, and we've reiterated this before, it doesn't always take a full strong team to take you far. We've seen like LeBron and Kyrie carry an okay Cleveland team to a chip. It could literally just be a Kyrie LeBron 2, except it's KD, who, I mean, if he wants to, can drop 40 against the Celtics tonight. And it could be that way. Like, but I mean, the best series ever, we'll have to see. I hope so. I hope it. I feel like it's definitely going to be a classic series.
yeah, definitely,
If it plays out the way it is, it's definitely going to turn out to be a classic series, and I'm excited. I'm really excited. But Kyrie Irving, man,
yeah. I mean,
guys, a business.
final thing before we move on from this, well, final 2 things. Let's say, do we think that Kyrie reacted in a good way? Do we kind of not agree with, but kind of like respect how Kyrie handled the situation, or do we think he could have not flipped off everybody in the TD Garden? And
To be honest, it was funny to see, but I can't lie. If they're giving you heat for the whole game, it's gonna get to you. I think anyone can sit here and I can sit here right now and say, "Oh no, Kyrie shouldn't have done that. That was wrong." But it's gonna get to you. If
mhm,
you're in that position, if I'm in that position, it's gonna get to you. And I mean, he he could have done things much worse than just flip him off. He could have. It could have been Malice in the Palace Part Two, Boston Edition, if he really wanted it to be, but he didn't. So I think I can't lie. I rate it,
mhm.
and I say, I mean, what else did you want him to do? He
Yeah,
was
fair.
not just gonna take it.
Yeah,
He was
fair.
never just gonna take it.
And then finally, game 2 is tonight. Do
Mm.
we think that Boston take a 2-0 lead into Brooklyn
No,
or
no,
no?
no. I think this is Nets. This is a Nets game because I think the minute it becomes 2-0 to Celtics, if that was to happen tonight, then I think Celtics are definitely taking the series. Even though I know 2-0 isn't definitive, I just think, especially in the early rounds, and obviously this is round 1 of the playoffs, I think that's kind of a thing that deflates a team, especially when they're playing in a team which, except from Kyrie and KD, obviously you got Blake who's got a lot of experience. None of the guys are really with deep experience like that. Like you've got people like Seth Curry and Andre Drummond who are just, I don't want to say average, but they're just okay NBA players. They don't really have the, you know, the mentality that these these guys have because they've been doing this year in year out. So I think if it becomes 2-0 tonight, yeah, I'm gonna say the Celtics are taking it, but I don't think that's happening. I think tonight KD is not shooting like last game. He's pulling up. It's going to be a nice Nets win today.
Fair enough. Fair enough. My personal opinion is similar. I think KD
Mm,
is going to have a good game. I just think they're going to end up taking over again in the fourth, and this time they're going to hold on to the lead potentially.
yeah, I agree.
Atlanta Miami has been a series that has been a lot less close, a lot more one sided.
Yeah.
The first game you can potentially um kind of give that to Miami. You know, Atlanta were tired from the play, and
Mm.
you could say Miami kind of capitalized on that. Trae Young probably had one of his worst performances in the history of
Dude
the
had like
NBA.
9 points or something.
Yeah, shot 8% from the field. Yeah,
That's
pretty dead.
rough.
The second game, little bit more competitive. Trey had a big comeback game,
Mm.
but Jimmy G buckets,
Jimmy
and
G.
the G stands for gets, and by gets he ended up finishing with 45 points.
Dude.
I I always underestimate the Heat. I've always done it so far this season, but let's be honest, when you have Jimmy Butler on your team, you can't underestimate that team, can you?
100%. Because Jimmy in playoff mode as well is he's a raw dog because we've seen him do it plenty of times. We saw Miami get to the final of the bubble playoffs, and Jimmy Butler was aside from Tyler Hero, was literally in the center of all of that, just being just next level.
Mhm.
And he's always been that guy since Chicago. He's always been that guy, like to just turn up in big games.
Mhm.
And then when later on in his career, when he was doing playoff after playoff, the guy's just been next level. And I think this is like you said. I think some people forget, or they sleep on him, including us. But we can't sleep on him anymore.
No,
45 last night,
yeah,
and he ain't gonna slow down.
yeah, and it's weird. Like usually when a team goes up 2-0 and they're the first seed and they've won both games by 10 plus points, you're
Mm,
usually looking at that thinking they're going to easily get the job done. Game 3, game
yeah,
4, a sweep's coming. But you see on social media, you see people saying all over the place. I like people still aren't betting against Atlanta to come and turn this around.
I mean it'd be tough for them now, man. It'd be very tough for them now, and
Like,
I don't see it happening. I don't see Atlanta pulling it back. But a lot of people have belief because of the fact that not a lot of people rate Miami. Like me and you, we didn't really rate them in the regular season, but a lot of things that a lot of people are forgetting. It's not the regular season anymore. The regular season goes out the window when it comes to the playoffs, in my opinion. And I think Atlanta just won't be able to hack it. They've got Jimmy, who's going to be an animal, sixth man of the year potentially. And I think they're tired out Atlanta. They're just not going to, they don't have enough against Miami. They're already 2-0 down. I think, maybe not a sweep, Atlanta might pick up a win here or there, but I don't think I think they're going out round one.
yeah, I mean, I still think they're gonna, but my point is that people are saying that they
Yeah.
could still have it in them to maybe
Mm,
push Miami a little bit further than what usually you would think
yeah.
2-0.
A lot a lot of people like a lot of people really like Atlanta though. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's just where the belief stems from. Like a lot of people just enjoy them and like them, and a lot of people don't like Miami. But I mean, who knows? It'd
So
be
you don't see him being swept. I don't either, if I'm honest with you.
I don't see them being swept, but I don't see Atlanta pulling it back.
Okay.
If I'm being honest.
One team who I do get one I'll say man. One team who I do see getting swept, and it's a team that I actually predicted would progress through, and that's Toronto against the Sixers. I
Yeah.
I said that Toronto could be a dark horse. I said they might be able to take one of the games, but dread from it, run from it. Embiid and Harden flopping in the playoffs still arrives. Um, it's is it getting a little bit is it getting a little bit annoying? You know, Embiid last night was it last night? Game two. Embiid had more free throws than the Toronto Raptors combined.
Yeah, it was
Is
mad. I mean, I watched the game one, and I mean, it was kind of crazy, like just seeing the way that they're playing. And although the 76ers are a good team, literally, like you say, they're flopping around all over the place, and it's mad, especially Harden. Um, but at the same time, they're locking up that Toronto team
mhm
nicely. They're locking them up,
mhm
and except from like the only person I saw who was like kind of hot that game was Pascal Siakam, which isn't really a surprise. But I mean, the 76ers, they've always had that way, especially like James Harden previously. But now, if you bring Harden into that team, they're gonna break the free throw record for the playoffs. Like, and I won't be surprised. But you weren't the only person who thought Toronto would be like a dark horse. I saw a lot of people like on TikTok and Twitter and everything agreeing with what you're saying, and I think everyone's starting to change their mind now. To be honest, like
mhm.
a, s- a sweep. I don't know. I mean, they're going to Toronto now, next two games. So I
Yeah,
mean, the sweep might not be on, but I mean, I
yeah.
don't
Who
know.
knows? Who knows? Um, Scotty Barnes' game one injury. Do
Mm.
we reckon that's an accident from Embiid, or do we think that's a little bit of foul play in there?
I mean, I saw that, and I don't think it was on purpose. To be honest, it didn't look it didn't look like he was trying to hurt him. It looked quite accidental, in my opinion. I know some people have had different opinions.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought it was just like
I
an
mean,
accident.
I'm gonna say I don't like Embiid as much as the next guy, and yeah, I don't think it was wholly on purpose. I mean, I think
Yeah,
people that say that it was are probably just a bit blinded by the fact that they just don't like Embiid, but
yeah, because
that's
some
fine.
people do not like him,
No,
and I mean,
you've got to feel
it
for Scotty though. He's had a great rookie
100%,
season. You know, he's
hundred
one
percent,
of the main pieces in this Toronto team, and it seems
hundred
like he's
percent.
gonna. It does seem like he's gonna be out for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, and it
Well,
is quite
the rest of
upsetting to
this
see
first
things
round.
like that.
Yeah,
Like, because you would think that like he would be a difference, especially with the way he's been playing this year. He's been amazing, potentially rookie of the year. Um, and it is quite sad to see because like that, it looks like he's out for the series. I'm not gonna lie. I
yeah,
don't think they're gonna rush him back in the
yeah,
series. That then, unless they claw him back and they make it 2-2,
yeah.
I maybe even 3-2. Then I feel like they might bring him back to try and like clutch it.
hmm
But I don't know. It looked a bit too much for to come back anytime soon. To be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And then just finally for this one, yes, James Harden and Joel Embiid might be your main players for the Philadelphia 76ers,
Mm.
but Tyrese Maxey, I
Oh
always
damn!
like we're going to talk about most improved players later on. And I think, we're going to talk about who's been snubbed from that. And I think Tyrese Maxey could be too. I mean, the fact
The
that
guy's
he
the guy's been
I
amazing in the
think
playoffs.
the only reason that's stopping him, potentially, is because it's the second year. Nobody really gets most improved player in their second year
Mm.
out after their rookie year because you're supposed to improve. But
Yeah,
I
100%.
feel like he's been doing the business throughout the season. He obviously dropped 38 in the first game. He can be
Yeah,
called on to take the scoring load if Harden ain't doing
hundred
it.
percent. And he was great in that game. He really was. He was amazing. And I think especially when you're in a team full of two big names, it's hard to be seen
Yeah,
until it's the big stage like the playoffs, and then everyone's like, "Whoa, this
this guy is
guy!"
yeah.
Yeah,
It's how Tyler Hero got his
exactly,
got his
exactly.
props. And then maybe Tyrese Maxey's going to be one of the same.
I mean, it could be because now no people aren't really going to forget him going into next season. You
Mhm.
know, next season when we're talking about Philly, wherever they are, if they're holding a chip or holding a
Mhm.
finals L or
Mhm.
whatever, people are going to say, well, if there's one guy that can bring them back, it's Tyrese Maxey, and he's a good player to be honest. I was really impressed by the way he just turned up, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing him continue in the series as well.
Yeah.
To be honest, see if he can keep that up, or if it was just like a one game.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Hmm.
Do you reckon that Toronto are going to get swept?
No, I think it's gonna be. I think they're gonna lose the series, but it'd be by probably 5,
Fair. Okay.
maybe 6.
Fair. Okay. And then finally in the East, the only other game in the playoffs that has only had one game played, and that was the Bucks Bulls.
Yeah,
Like we said, like we talked about before, a very underwhelming game, but a
yeah,
game where defense kind of won. Defense and everybody but Giannis not shooting well, pretty much. Um, it's just like DeMar DeRozan. Is he ever going to shake this? Can't do it in the playoffs. Ducked. He went 6 of 25 in the
yeah.
first in the first game.
It was tough, man. It was tough seeing that. To be
Yeah.
honest, as a fan of DeMar DeRozan, it was tough to see that because I thought he would have. This would be the year that he shakes it, and I hope it was just a game one blunder, and like
Yeah.
maybe the fear or like nerves or whatever. First team playoffs. I hope he can shake it. I really do because I'm I'm waiting for him to turn up in the playoffs, and like I said, I thought this year was the year, and if he was shooting that night, you guys were taking that game by far. You were taking that game,
Hmm.
but he was unlucky,
Yeah.
and it was tough to see. But hopefully, hopefully he can bring it back.
No, yeah, definitely me too. I mean, as a Chicago fan, and as just a
Mm.
fan of a competitive series, because if he doesn't, we know how Milwaukee treat every game other than game one.
Hmm.
They're gonna come out there, Chris Middleton's not gonna shoot 1 of 7 from three. Drew Holiday's not gonna shoot 6 from 16 from the field.
Yeah,
Giannis isn't gonna get into foul trouble, most likely. Although you never
yeah,
know. I think the Bulls did a very good job after the first quarter in containing Giannis.
yeah. I
I
actually
think they had, I
agree as
think they
well.
had a
To be
decent.
honest.
I think they had a decent game plan for him. Alex Caruso was the goat in the fourth quarter in getting him into foul trouble. I personally feel like he should have been fouled out for that quite suspect call against Patrick Williams, where the foul went on Patrick Williams,
Yeah,
where
that
he
was
was he was he
yeah, that
was
was a bit
boxing out.
crazy. I can't lie, that
So
was a little bit. And to be honest, I agree. I actually thought he was gonna get fouled out too.
yeah,
But Alex Caruso, now that you mentioned him, that guy clutched up.
yeah,
Like he was a main reason as to why you didn't get blown out in that game, and that it ended up the score ended up being kind of close.
yeah.
That guy was amazing, man.
Hmm.
If your team was shooting in that fourth quarter, everyone would have been saying he's the guy, and everyone already does say he's the guy, but they would have exclaimed it. And if he can bring some more of that in this series, it's gonna be a lot tighter than people expect.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are still thinking that it's Bucks in four though, which you never know. It might still happen. I personally think it still will, if I'm honest with you. Just because Milwaukee will be ruthless in these next 3 games.
Mm. Mm.
Maybe the Chicago crowd can pull through game 3, game 4, but yeah, I don't think much is going to happen.
Yeah.
Suns Pelicans, I said it'd be a sweep. Then Scott Foster officiated one of the games, and now it's not going to be a sweep anymore.
Yeah, that was tough, man.
That
I
that
mean,
second game had a lot of highlights in it. My favorite was the one that I sent you when
yeah,
Josie Alvarado. Have you seen like
the Grand
he's
Theft
quite well known
Alvarado.
from
Mm.
going around behind and trying to nick someone. Chris Paul saw that, was like, no,
Nah, he literally said, get up, get
get
up.
out of it.
For real. And to be honest, I think everyone's clocked him now. But there might be a point in the game where, like, because if I'm playing point or whatever and I'm just passing the ball away, it'd be tough to think for the whole, like, 50 minutes or whatever, oh, there's just going to be this guy on me. Like, you're not going to remember. Surely at one point, he's going to get caught.
Mhm.
But everyone's clocked him now. Everyone knows, which is kind of a shame because like no one used to realize the guy used to pull off the maddest steals
Yeah.
and his peak. But
Yeah.
I mean, no one even expected the Pelicans to get one off.
No,
To be
and
honest,
they actually played really well that game too. All things
Brandon Ingram
considered. Yeah, Brandon
was
Ingram almost got himself a triple double. So did CJ McCollum. Um, could you potentially say that if Devin Booker had stayed in past halftime, that potentially we'd be looking at a 2-0? Devin Booker ended up dropping a 30 piece, but only played half the game pretty much.
yeah,
Um,
100%. It would have been 2-0. I think that was a big loss for them and a reason that they lost the game because even the scoreline wasn't that much like big in the end as well,
no,
and
yeah,
that was
they
them
went out.
playing without Devin Booker
Yeah,
for half the game, second half, which is the important like clutch part of the game as well. So I feel like if he was there, that wouldn't have happened. But they capitalized. They saw
yeah,
the
that's what you got to do,
opportunity
innit? Yeah.
exactly, and that was in the middle of the game too. It's not like they had a couple of days to think, oh well, they're without Booker, so we can work around it. They
hmm
saw the opportunity and they picked it up, and you got to say that's what makes a good team, and you can't fault them for that. Okay, you can say the Devin Booker injury helped them, but
hmm
they still managed to like realize that and pick it up. And you got to give credit where it's due. They even the series, which no one thought they would do.
Yeah, definitely. That's true. I mean, Phoenix pretty much had no worries last year. Maybe this year they're
Mm.
gonna have a little bit of one. Do we think that Chris Paul is gonna win a playoff game in a game where Scott Foster officiates? He's now 0-14.
It's mad. That stat is
But
crazy. Like, surely the guy must not like him. He must be like a Clippers fan or something. Like, he misses the Lob City days, and he's just mad because I don't know. That just seems a bit crazy to me.
it's
Like, if
weird.
it was like
Yeah,
0 for 5, 0 for 6, you think, okay, that's mad. 0 for 14 is just crazy. Like,
yeah. I mean, like, surely this can't be coincidence now. He must like have like a he must bet against Chris
oh, he has
Paul
to.
every
He
time.
has to. He has to.
Scott
And to,
Foster, you're a fraud.
yeah, I'm telling you, get that guy out of the NBA right now.
Because Phoenix aren't going to win a chip if you're officiating
If
games.
if Chris Paul doesn't get through this round, or if he doesn't get to the finals, that guy, I'm coming for him. I am coming for him.
Yeah, because obviously he officiated Game 6 in the finals last year, and that was the win or go home for Phoenix, and you were just thinking, yeah, no, it's done for him.
It's mad. It's mad. But that's crazy. I mean, imagine it's like Game 7 of the finals, and and then he's officiating. Then what? Like I just wouldn't play Chris Paul until like the third quarter, just out of just fear. But that's mad though. I think that is a bit too much of a coincidence to say, but
Yeah,
that's mad.
Zion hasn't played yet.
He hasn't.
Do we think he will?
I mean, the series is tied now, so I feel like he might see that and think, well, can we take the lead? Because I don't know, that guy's dangerous, man. I know we've not seen him in like 2 years almost, but the guy's scary. And I mean, if he was in that game when Devin Booker got injured out, then I think the scoreline would have been crazy. And I think one there are certain teams where one player can make a big difference, and I think Zion is just too dangerous of a player that he wouldn't make a difference. I'm not saying he'd pull out the shock of the whole decade and did kick Suns out of round one, but I mean, if New Orleans want to have a chance, they got to bring the guy back sooner rather than next season.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then moving on, Golden State Denver. You booked a sweep, and it seems like it might actually be
It's
happening.
it's looking like
Steph,
it's on.
Steph Curry off the bench. Is this like Steve Kerr? Is this like a coaching masterclass from Steve Kerr? Like I know Steph Curry's he has been injured.
Mm.
Obviously bring him back with reduced minutes, I guess. But
But he played half an hour in game 2. That's like starting time.
he dropped 30 piece.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And Jordan Poole, is he a certified splash brother now?
I'm gonna go on a limb and say if they sweep and Jordan Poole's in the middle of it, which is looking like you gotta call him, you gotta be the slash trio now. That's what it is. The splash trio. That's what it is. Because the guy's crazy. The guy is, and he's been like this as well.
Yeah,
It's
whenever
not
Steph
even.
Curry's been out, I think
He's stepped it up.
He's averaged close to 30 whenever Steph Curry it doesn't play. And obviously Steph is playing now,
Mm.
but obviously reduced minutes. I mean, it's crazy seeing Steph off the bench. If I'm honest with you,
It is very weird. It's very weird. Like
but like
even when he,
imagine you're a reserve guard for Denver. Usually, like when you're a reserve guard, you're like you're gonna be playing some people that are kind of my level. You look across the court from you, and Steph Curry's just staring back at you, and it's like I'm not in for a good day today,
why did I do this? And I think eventually, so then I think maybe Denver will switch it around, and they might do the opposite. But then they look and they start their five deadest players, and then they've got the big three
Got
on.
Nikola
Uh,
Jokic off the bench next game.
imagine. But then they look at the starting five of the Warriors, and it's Steph, Clay, Draymond, and it's like, okay, what have we done? Like, but I think the sweep is definitely going to happen because the next two games are in San Francisco as well.
No, they're in Denver.
Are they?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
They'll say that.
The Warriors finished third, bro. The next two games are in Denver.
Oh my days! I thought damn, that's crazy. I thought it was the way around. And that's crazy. I didn't know that. But
I mean, you both games ended in a blowout anyway. I genuinely still don't see Denver picking up a win.
I mean, I hope not, because I would get some nice points if it ends in a sweep for the Warriors. But I mean, home crowd always does make a difference, but I don't think it can make that much of a difference. I think the Warriors are just too strong for Denver Nuggets, man. Like I've been saying this for a while. Like Denver are a good team. That's because they've got one of the best players in the league, and then some decent players around him. I don't think they're strong enough to go and do a madness in the playoffs. I just don't think until they get some strength around them, they're not going to be that team to do it in the playoffs. They can do it in the regular season, but not in the playoffs when it counts in the big against the big teams, man.
Fair. Utah, Dallas, in my opinion, has been probably the most boring
Yeah, man.
series.
Game
Like
one was dead. Game one
nothing's
was so
really
dead.
happened. Luca isn't playing. Rudy Gobert doesn't get past the ball. Like I bet he's just kind of stood there. He's like, this is how Dennis Rodman used to feel back in the day. But at least Dennis Rodman was a dead
They
shooter.
never used to pass to him.
It was a dead attacker. So like he was kind of okay with that. Rudy Gobert ended up shooting once in game one and missed it. All of his points came from the free throw line.
That is man.
Like he gets past. I saw a stat. I think I showed you it. He gets past the ball by Donovan Mitchell on average 2.3 times a game. Donovan Mitchell averages 3 turnovers a game, which means literally Donovan Mitchell is passing the ball to the other team more than he passes the ball to Rudy Gobert
They
a
must have
game.
some beef. Surely there's some beef.
Ever since the COVID situation, man. Ever since he gave everyone COVID, he's been out there.
That video will always be one of my favorite NBA videos. I ain't scared of no COVID. Next day protocols. Literally the next day.
This
That
guy,
was funny.
what is up with this guy imitating all of these centers, man? He's gonna be acting like Dikembe Mutombo next week.
No.
Anyway, does Rudy leave at the end of the season?
I mean, you'd want that. I know you'd want that.
Like,
I know you want
Vucevic
him.
on the door. Yeah, okay.
I know you want him. I mean, if we're looking at it in the sense of he's a good center and he should be in a team that's playing good playoff basketball, not one round and then they're out.
Yeah. I mean,
that's what he's been doing.
let's be honest. As much as he didn't win it this year, he is the defensive player of the year every year. I feel like he's got to that LeBron James MVP kind of.
Yes, yeah, 100%.
It's like it's kind of boring just giving him the award every single year. He is the best defensive player in the NBA, at least in the center position.
100%.
But He's an
100%.
asset. He's an asset no matter where you go. He's just isn't an
Mm.
exciting player. He just does his job. He is Dennis
Yeah,
Rodman.
yeah, but that's sometimes not
You
every
need a
player in
Dennis
the
Rodman.
NBA
Yeah,
can be exciting.
yeah,
Not every NBA player is gonna give out highlight reel, flashy highlight reel, and get play of the game and stuff like that. It's not there's not everyone can be like that.
hmm
That's spot is reserved for certain people, the Steph Currys, LeBrons, Devin Bookers, all of them, like Lamelo, all these flashy guys. Not everyone has to be like that. Some people come and they do a job the best way they can, and Rudy Gobert is like, if you're talking that category, he's right at the top in
hmm
terms of he does his job and he smashes it.
yeah,
And there's not many centers in the league that are on his level. There's maybe you can name two, three guys,
yeah, definitely.
and that's big because he'll be looking, he'll be thinking, yo, I'm better than these lot.
Yeah,
I don't need to be here, and teams will know that. These teams know when players want to go, and then their teams will look at their centers and they'll see, yo, we've got this Vucevic who can't even hit open threes. Why don't we move to Rudy? And it could happen for you lot.
Speaking of the off season though, Jalen Brunson wants his bag.
Hmm.
Guy is a free
Yeah.
agent in the summer. He dropped 41 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists in the game 2 win. He wants
Okay.
it. He wants his bag in the summer.
He's trying to show out.
Yeah, I mean,
He's trying to
obviously
get that. He's
we've
trying to
known
get that
Luca to
Russell
be good, but
Westbrook trade. That's what he's trying to get. He knows there's a spot open at LA next year, and he's gunning for that spot.
I don't think he'd want to go LA if I want to be.
I mean, for the bread, LA are paying bugs.
Yeah,
Russell
necessary.
Westbrook, I think I sent it to you.
Yeah, he's like
Is
one
the
of the.
third most paid guy in the NBA.
Well, look, they just finished paying off Luol Deng's contract, and he hasn't played for him since like 2018. So, like, they're very good at giving poor contracts
Money
away.
away. Yeah, so if you're gonna want that LA move, because that's it, you're set, you're come.
So, do we think Luca comes back for Game 3? Puts a bit of life into this series.
I hope so, man. I'm bored. I watched that game one and it was boring. It was boring because that was the first game,
First game of the playoffs, yeah.
and I was like, "What the hell is this? What the playoffs are gonna be?" Thankfully, you got saved by some nice games,
Yeah.
but I was mad. Like, I was like, "This is not it, man." Thankfully, you got saved, but damn, that was not it. And to be honest, a Dallas without Luca and a Jazz side are gonna put out the most boring playoff series. Like they just are until Luca comes back, because then Luca's just gonna light up and
Yeah.
probably blow Jazz out of the water.
Yeah, you'd hope
Because
so. Don't like the
yeah,
Jazz. Get them
I
out.
mean, who likes them? Who's a fan of the Jazz? Like no one. I don't think they
What did
have
LeBron
fans.
say? When you're playing on 2K, the last team you pick to play is the
The
Utah
Jazz.
Jazz.
So he said,
Yeah,
I
something
never
like that.
saw that.
Like in the like a couple of years ago in the when he was picking All Star teammates, and Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert were the last two. Um,
That's peak. That's peak. Because they're actually good players, man. They just no, but that is true. Like no one's. Do they even have fans? I
it's
don't
like
think they got
it's
fans
like
like
that.
that. Like
It's like that Joakim Noah press conference in 2013 when he talks about Cleveland. He's like, "Who wants to go to Cleveland?" You don't say I'm off on holiday to Cleveland. Like like nobody wants to play for Utah. Nobody likes Utah.
100%. No, no one. And that's why I feel like next year they'll probably lose their two big guys in Donovan and
Yeah,
Rudy.
yeah. And then finally, Minnesota, Memphis. Very interesting first game, which saw Minnesota take it. And then the second game, Memphis blew them out. I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
it's mad as well, to be honest, because Minnesota looked good in that first game.
Yeah, they didn't look like they were missing anything. But I remember saying to you after the
Mm,
game, you because we both watched it, and you were
yeah,
saying this could be Minnesota upsetting them, and I was like, I don't think Anthony Edwards is gonna have as good of a game as he did game one. He
as he
lit
did.
it up
Yeah,
game one, and I mean, I think the Memphis Memphis had a bad game in game one. Minnesota had a good game, like a very good
yeah,
game, and
yeah.
then obviously the second game just wasn't wasn't as good, Anthony Edwards only hit
100%.
20 points. Cat only went for 15.
Mm.
D'Angelo Russell is having an absolutely awful series so far.
Oh my days! Game 1 for him was peak.
Game two for him wasn't much better. He only shot three of 11 from the field.
Damn.
And Memphis only played Steven Adams for 3 minutes in the second game.
Yeah,
But
that was really weird. I don't
but
know what that
it,
was about.
it does seem like, well, it was obviously a tactical change, and it ended up working for him
Completely
in the end.
working.
Yeah.
Ja only put in, I'm sure, like 20 minutes or something as well.
Well, when you're winning by 30, it's easy to rest
Just
your play,
rest
but
your big guy. Yeah,
yeah.
which is
So
mad.
I mean, again, the landscape has just switched just like that in that game.
Yeah,
2 games at target. Minnesota win both of those. 3-1 up.
yeah.
Just win both your own games. 3-1 up. You have home court advantage. Memphis really do need to go out there and get at least one of the next two, don't they?
They definitely do. Especially because I saw a Ja interview and he said, we're trying to let everyone know that we're here. We're not playing games and everything. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all well and good, but they need to show out. They leveled, like, just how in the first game they weren't on it and Minnesota were. The roles switched. Minnesota weren't really on it game 2,
Yeah,
and Memphis just were.
yeah,
So now both teams are going to be coming.
yeah,
Memphis, if they want to prove something, they got to prove when both teams are good, they're going to be the better team.
yeah.
And we'll have to see what happens. I'm excited. That series is on paper doesn't look that exciting, but is actually think it's going to be one of the more
No, yeah,
interesting ones.
yeah. It got decent tactical battle there. Taylor Jenkins, the Memphis Grizzlies coach, came through, did that big tactical adjustment, took Steven Adams out for pretty much the whole game. It ended up working, and you could say that's why he was nominated for Coach of the Year, which
100%.
segues us right on from the
Nice,
playoffs. Yeah,
nice.
that was good as that one.
I like that. I can't lie.
To the 2021-22 NBA awards finalists. Sent Sully the awards finalist, all 18 of the awards finalists for 3 for the 6 categories. Said we should predict them the day after the Defensive Player of the Year was announced. So Marcus Smart won NBA Defensive Player of the Year for the year. Deserved.
It's a weird one. I can't lie. Because the thing is, so this is a conversation I've seen online, on Twitter and everything. So Marcus Smart, he's a great defensive player. I will not doubt that. I won't. But it wasn't until like a month, max a month and a half ago that he got noticed as, oh wait, this guy's actually one of the best defensive players in the league right now. So my thought process is, if it only the last 6 weeks of the league you got noticed, or last 5 weeks of the league you got noticed as a strong defensive player, that's not defensive player of the year.
I
Defensive player of the last 5 weeks,
I
like,
personally feel like he has been a very solid defensive player throughout the whole of his
yeah,
career. He might have only just been noticed a bit there, but I
mm,
feel like it is a long time coming for him, and it's also a long time coming for the guard position. He's the first.
yeah, that's a
He's the
mad one.
first
That one,
guard to win Defensive Player of the Year since 1996, when
mad.
Gary Payton won it. Payton won it. I don't know why
Mm.
that took a while to get out, but I personally feel like it's been a long time coming for him. I feel like he probably has, throughout the whole of his career, deserved a Defensive Player of the Year. It's been a long time coming for the non-center position. I just think they've given it to the wrong non-center who was shortlisted. I personally feel like Mikal Bridges.
I completely agree as
I
well.
feel like
That's the
Mikal
thing.
Bridges probably should have got it. A lot of people who came out and talked about who they were voting for Defensive Player of the Year said Mikal Bridges, which is
Mm.
quite so. It is quite interesting to see that Marcus Smart did win it, despite, well, before it got announced, pretty much all fingers kind of pointed
Mm.
to Bridges there. I remember Draymond Green said it. Obviously, I don't think Draymond Green gets a vote. Players probably do get votes, but probably not
I'm
as much as the rest. Doris Burke
I'm
came
sure
out and said that
I'm
she.
sure players and coaches, they vote. I don't think their votes are, like, they'll be stronger and more, like, so obviously I know we can vote, like, but I think the players and the coaches, their votes are just a bit stronger.
Mhm.
But I mean, I don't know how it fully works with
Yeah,
them. I know coaches, their votes are
yeah,
strong, but I completely agree. I think Mikal Bridges was robbed of that award. Not that Marcus Smart, like we said, he's not. He is a
yeah.
strong defensive player.
He's the best defensive player on the best defensive team in the NBA. Which,
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at it from that point of view, it's kind of a no-brainer that he won. But
yeah,
that's never usually the case for any award that gets handed out.
exactly that. And I think Mikal Bridges, like, obviously we talk about the Suns and we say D Book is the scorer and CP is like the heart and makes everything flow. But without Mikal Bridges at the back doing what he's doing, they're not finishing with the best record in the NBA potentially,
Yeah,
because defense is the most, in my opinion, the most important part of the game. You can have
points win you games, defense wins you championships.
exactly that. Like we saw in the Bulls Chicago game one, nobody was shooting well, but defense was strong.
Hmm.
And if you take one side's defense away, so let's say you took the Bulls defense away, they're getting smacked up even though the Bucks aren't shooting very well.
Hmm.
And I think that for that reason, them getting the best record in the NBA this season is a big credit to him,
Hmm.
and I do feel for him.
Okay.
But I don't think these players really deep it that much. Not
No,
anymore. Like,
I think Marcus Smart will definitely take this on as something good. Like I said, it's
oh
first chance
yeah,
to win it in almost 30 years.
hundred
So,
percent,
that's big for him, I guess. But yeah, I feel
100.
like, especially someone like Rudy Gobert, who has won it like God knows how many times. You know,
That's like his award.
yeah, I don't think he'll be too mad that he didn't win it this year. But anyway, the Defensive Player of the Year was announced. The rest of them weren't. I'm hoping that none get announced on the 20th on that
I
night
imagine
because that's
just
when we're
like right
recording
now they announced
all of them.
MVP or something.
But anyway, what we're gonna do instead of predicting games, like I said, we were gonna do in the episode last time, we're just gonna predict who we think is gonna win the awards that haven't been announced yet out of the three. And I think we should probably work our way up, maybe. So I think we should probably start with Coach of the
Yeah,
Year.
yeah.
And I personally think that I'm definitely butchering his name. I'm not a Celtics fan, so I've never really had to say his name before. But I think Ime Udoka definitely has been snubbed of at least a finalist podium here, in my
Oh
opinion.
yeah, definitely because
This
of
is this is
the
his
comeback.
this is his first season in the NBA, and yes, this didn't start well, but he's properly come back. He's taken a side who were kind of just treading water in the middle of the conference, and he's made them a number two seed in the East. Had that big run after the All Star break. Once his tactics finally clicked, his team has been popping off.
Hundred
And
percent.
if I'm honest with you, I don't know what he hasn't done that Eric Spoelstra has. If I'm honest with you,
I completely
this is
agree.
this is no disrespect to Eric Spoelstra. Eric, if you're watching, you're a great coach, and you have been forever. But you have guided teams to the first seed with a better record before, and it's not like Miami were bad last year. They were very underwhelming. Like they had a decent team, and they ultimately flopped it. But I
Yeah,
feel like they were kind of expected to be near the top this year. Like I predicted Miami third.
yeah. With that off season, yeah,
I predicted Boston seventh still. So
yeah.
I feel like Udoka's done a better job this season than Spoelstra has, but I'm not a proper NBA analyst, so what do I know? So
100%. I mean, I completely agree. I think the job he did as the Celtics coach coming in first year, I mean, it's a tough job to enter the NBA as a coach. I mean, like a lot of people say a coach is the worst job you could take on. It's like a lose-lose job. And I mean, it started off peak. We all know that. But that run, like you mentioned, that he had is that was unreal. That is really crazy. And like you mentioned, I don't think what he did is very much different to what Eric's done for Miami. But I mean, they must have some some way of deciding these things that we don't know about. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited now to see what he's gonna do in the second season
No, yeah, me
because
too.
now we can't really use that whole he just started in the NBA because now he's had a whole season
Mhm.
and he's had a good season,
Mhm.
and I think the next season is where he defines himself as a coach.
Mhm.
First year, you could let him off. Even if Boston had a bit of a dry year, you could let it off at the fact that they've got a new coach. Now the guy's warmed up and he's ready and he'll have a hot team. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do next year. But unlucky with the
Yeah.
coach of the year
I
thing
feel
for
like
him.
that's the only one out of the three I can really have any bother with. Taylor Jenkins, the Memphis coach. Memphis have had a great season. Monty
Yeah,
Williams, the Phoenix coach, has had a better season than they did last year.
yeah,
And I mean, I personally think that he could have won Coach of the Year last year. He didn't, but this year, I feel he definitely has to.
yeah, 100%. Considering the fact that a lot of people thought Suns missed their chance, including myself. They missed their chance. They missed their shot.
Yeah,
They ain't gonna be able to do it again, and they just flipped the script on everyone.
yeah,
Best record in the NBA,
yeah,
absolutely unreal. Like a lot of times, people just do snub coaches in general. Like you have to understand these players are pulling out plays that their coach is telling them to do. Like, and you're not getting the best record in the NBA without having the best coach in the NBA.
yeah. No, that's
In
definitely
of the
right.
season,
Yeah.
definitely.
So yeah,
So
I'm going with Monty Williams for Coach of
I'll
the Year.
have to agree with you on that one. I know we
Yeah.
like to switch up, but I'm gonna have to agree.
Fair. I mean, I personally think a lot of these are quite self-explanatory, so I don't think we're gonna differ on a lot of things. Sixth man of the year is very, very obvious in there, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's
do
one that
like,
we've been saying
yeah,
as
we
well.
have been saying it from the start of the year. I do like Kevin Love, and I think it'd be great if he won it somehow. But he has been one of them good vets off the bench
He's
for
actually
a
been,
very young
yeah,
team.
he's been quite solid to be fair. To say
Yeah,
he's the old guy now as well.
yeah,
I mean, I don't think you can get six man of the year to a guy who got absolutely posterized like by LeBron so hard though, just because that was the highlight of the whole season for me. And then like that's your sixth man. He's getting posted. Alright, cool. That's but
so
Tyler
yeah,
Hero, I
it
mean,
has to be
like
Tyler, isn't it?
yeah, I mean we've been saying literally all year. The guy's
He has
averaging
kind of cooled down a little bit as the season's gone on, but
mm,
he's still been
of
doing the business
yeah, hundred
off the
percent.
bench. Yeah.
I mean when you're averaging just I think mid 20s off the bench, it's crazy. It's
Mhm.
really crazy. I mean respect to him as well because he could have, and I don't think they do this like double nominations, but if they really wanted to, he could have gone for most improved as well. He could have.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have made sense too. Like if they do those type of things because compared to last year he was dry, man. I'm not gonna lie, he was dry. So him becoming the sixth man and a great sixth man, it just makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Most improved player next, and I feel like you have a bone to pick with the with Adam Silver about this one.
I'm mad. You know I'm mad about this one, and I mean Jordan Poole. I know I'm not the only person mad about this as well. What I mean, who can even say with their chest that they had a good understanding of Jordan Poole last year?
No,
Nobody.
no.
And the fact that he's come out and has picked up, I mean, he's been the Steph when Steph's not playing,
Hmm.
which is a big, pair of shoes to fill
Hmm.
because those shoes come with a lot of buckets. And he's been crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, look, John Moran, like I've mentioned this to you. I don't know why he's there. Don't get me wrong. The guy's been amazing this year, but he was good last year too. Like it's not
It
like
isn't just a case of he was good last year too. I'm just looking at his stats now. He's averaging 8 more points this season than he did last year. His assisting things gone down, but he's averaging almost 2 more rebounds too. I mean, obviously you can't just look at stats, but
yeah,
his team has also finished second when nobody ever thought that they would.
mm,
And when you're the best player on that team, you kind of have to potentially look at that. I still do
I
think that
guess.
most improved player does go to a person who was kind of unknown a little bit and has had a big season. So
Yeah,
in what you're saying there, I do kind of agree with you a little bit, but I do kind of understand why Jar's there, and I do understand why I think he's going to win it personally.
I
I
mean,
think,
the NBA. I feel like they're gonna make Ja Morant their next poster boy of the NBA, to be honest, and like he's gonna be the front face of the NBA. I feel
yeah,
like because with the way he's playing, like he is the, and a lot of people have made this comparison. He's the regen of Derrick Rose,
yeah,
but he carried on.
yeah.
Obviously, we all know what happened with D Rose and what he could have been.
We don't talk about it. We
We
don't talk
don't we don't
about
like to talk about that. It hurts us.
it.
But Ja is, in my opinion, and a lot of people's, what Derrick Rose would have become.
Yeah.
And I feel like if that happened, he would have been the front face of the NBA. He would have been that guy.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what they're gonna make him. So they will probably give it to him because they'll make him that. They'll put him in that light. Like they will.
I also think because Deontay Murray and Darius Garland didn't make the playoffs with their team, I think that might hinder them a little bit. Especially Darius Garland,
Maybe.
who kind of just had it in Cleveland had it, but ultimately
And I mean,
didn't do it.
I feel bad for both of those two guys because me personally, I actually think out of those three, DeJounte Murray, I think he's the most improved. I actually like if we're talking most improved player, I think that's him. I've been a big fan of him this year, and I think he's been great. But and I know you like him too, Darius Garland. I also could be the most improved player, and if if they give it to Ja, I just think that ain't fair on those two guys because they've actually been great, man. But ultimately, like you said, they finished second. The guy's been crazy. They will probably give it to Ja, but those two guys, man, you have to
Mhm.
feel from them
Yeah, definitely.
because they've been outstanding this year as well. Whether they made the playoffs or not, Cleveland. If we want to talk about Cleveland as a whole, most improved from last year, and from the fact that no one thought they were gonna be that good. Like if it wasn't for the play-in, they would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Like it's just kind of mad the way you look at it.
yeah.
But
You go with Ja though.
I don't want to. I'm actually gonna go for Dejounte because that's who I
Okay,
actually want to win it. So
okay, okay. Rookie of the year, the penultimate one. I feel like Cade's had a very good season, but obviously I don't think he's played enough, which is why I think it is between Scotty and Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes and
yeah,
Evan
I
Mobley,
agree.
and it genuinely could be a coin flip. Like these two have come in and done their bit on a playoff team. Like usually when
Mhm.
you look at rookie of the years, they're usually either a big player on a poor team
Yeah,
or a like a role player who's kind of stepped
on a
up
big
on
team,
a
yeah,
big team and kind of
hundred
done the
percent,
business. But I feel
hundred
like
percent.
this year, it's too obviously the Cavs didn't make the playoffs, but they were up and around there. They got the
They were,
play in.
yeah.
They were so close to actually getting in the playoffs. These are two teams who have had big roles on playoff teams. You could potentially say that Scotty Barnes is the second guy for Toronto. I know Fred VanVleet probably thinks that he is, but let's be
I
honest.
mean,
I personally think that it's Scotty Barnes after Siakam.
after the season played out the way it played out, I'm gonna have to agree with you on that and say Scotty Barnes has been the guy. Like, and you know, at the beginning of the year, we were talking about rookies. We weren't too impressed,
Hmm.
like near the beginning.
Hmm.
But these two, especially Evan Mobley and Scotty Barnes, have been crazy.
Hmm.
I like Evan as well. I like him.
Yeah,
But Scotty Barnes, man. I mean, if it weren't for that injury, they might not be 2-0 down in the playoffs.
you never know. You
Mm,
never know. Who are you going
yeah.
for then?
I'll let you pick first.
Okay, I mean, I think Scotty's gonna win it.
Yeah.
But if you were thinking Scotty, you changed the jar one, I might just change to Mobley for a bit of competition.
Yeah. To be honest, I did. I actually thought you would have picked Evan Mobley because considering you were quite, you know, fond of this Cleveland this
Yeah, I
year.
think they've had it. I think they've had a great year, but
Mm.
yeah, I do
But
think
I mean, either of them, like you said,
yeah,
coin flip.
either
It
of
could
them
be
could win it,
anyone.
and I won't be too mad.
100%, 100%.
And then finally, with the MVP, I think if Embiid wins it, I'll be a little bit mad. But otherwise, Joker and Giannis are probably two of my favorite players in the NBA. Giannis is cooking my team at the moment in the playoffs, but the dude is just a beast. Like, this guy can't be stopped, and I don't like it.
He's unreal. I mean, but and I know you're not a fan, but I just think Joel Embiid has to win the MVP, man.
You're going with Embiid, okay?
I think he has to win it. I just I don't know what more that guy can do to show in terms of like being the best player at a team by a country mile and carrying your team for years and years and years. The guy had to play with Ben Simmons, man. He should have got an MVP just for that. And then he shipped off Ben Simmons and he got himself James Harden. And I mean, I know a lot of people don't like him. Me personally, I think that's obviously due to certain, like for example, he always does the business against Chicago, and that probably like might sway your feelings on him. But me personally, I don't mind him. I think he's a great sport sometimes. I mean I just don't want to see another crying Embiid video, man. That's the main. I really don't want to see it, man.
I don't think
There's
he'd
been
cry
so
if he
many.
didn't win it, but
No, but like I feel like if he wins it, that'll motivate him, and he might win. Because I don't really want the 76ers to win the chip, but I feel like they have to. I just don't want to see that guy cry again, man. Honestly, please.
please don't cry,
But
Joel.
please, Joel, just don't cry. If you lose, just hide, go home and cry. No one's gonna record you there, please. But saying that, if it wasn't gonna be him, it has to be Giannis for the three-peat.
So who are you going for? Embiid.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
right. Now
if it's not,
you don't, you think it's going to be honest, and Joker
kind
equals
of,
third.
but I want Joel to win, so I'm gonna say Joel Embiid.
Fair, fair. Well, I personally think that Embiid has been the best player in the league this season. I know who'd have thunk that I'd say that, but I'm just going off of who I think the NBA will give it to. Like, I don't think Ja Morant should win Most Improved Player this year,
But
but I
yeah,
think that
okay,
the NBA
okay,
will give Most
I'm with
Improved
you.
Player to Ja. In the same way, I think they're gonna make Jokic win it back to back. I personally think, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Jokic is a great player, but I think Embiid has led his team to a better record, a better position in his conference.
Mm,
Um, he's led he's got the scoring title, the first center to do it since Shaq. But I do think that Jokic is a better all round player, and
okay,
I do feel that he's gonna win it for the season. I think Joel Embiid could potentially pick up a Finals MVP. Potentially,
maybe he has to
um,
make it.
potential. I think Philly could. I think Philly. Well, I mean, I didn't predict them to, but I think throughout the first two games, I think, and I've said that Philly after the Harden trade, I think Philly could be a actual contender. Didn't think so towards the end of the season, but I think now they're back on track. So I think
Mm,
he could get a Finals MVP, but I don't think he'll get the league MVP.
okay, it makes sense. I mean, I actually, if we're going off that, although like I'm gonna like in terms of this, I'm putting my vote on Embiid. I think the NBA would probably give it to Giannis.
Fair.
Like,
Okay.
I mean, the guy's everyone's favorite
I'm just
player. Like,
yeah, exactly. But I'm just going off of I think the votes
what?
got like not leaked, but like released a
Oh,
few weeks
really?
in, and Giannis had like quite a significantly less amount of votes compared to Embiid and
That's crazy.
Jokic.
I
So I
think
mean,
everyone's just sick and tired of him bullying their teams. Like, that must be what
I've
it
had
is.
enough of him. I've had enough of him. I don't think I'm gonna like him by the end of this week. Yeah,
By game three.
by game three, yeah. Game four, I'm just gonna have lost the will to live with him. But yeah, I mean that kind of just wraps up our predictions for this week. It's been an unbelievably long episode. I always say this is
You did. You called it as well.
like
You did it.
for you guys obviously you don't know because this doesn't happen whilst we're recording. But I always say to Sully before we start, I always say to him, Don't worry, man. I think this is going to be quite a short episode. We don't have much to talk about, and then all of a sudden we've gone an hour and 5. So look,
It's funny. It's actually
there's
funny.
been so much that's been going on in the playoffs that you kind of can't just half-ass it, really, can you? You have to go full in.
You have to. You
I
have to.
feel like I said. I mean, I think 6 of the 8 playoff series have kind of done well so far, and the other one involves my team. So 7 out of the 8 segments are gonna have a lot to talk about, really, aren't they? So, blame me being a Bulls fan. Um, looking at your predictions last week before we go. Do we like what you've predicted mostly, or do we
I like some of them.
do we have
Some of them are a bit,
do we have a few regrets though?
Regrets. Let's have a look.
I think putting Toronto through has been a big regret for me so far, and I also think giving Denver a bit of a chance against Golden State. I think
my biggest regret is thinking you guys might take 2 games against Milwaukee.
yeah, fair.
That's my
yeah,
biggest
I'm
regret.
I'm looking at yours, and yours looking fine. You even predicted that no one's would take a game against Phoenix. So
That's crazy. I'm just I'm sauceful like that.
this guy
But
is
then
reading the
you see,
future.
this is what I'm saying. This is why I annoy myself so much. Then when I did my NBA bracket the other day, because like it's like if you get bare points and you get it right, you can win like peas. I did for Phoenix to win, do a sweep. So why did I do this? I don't understand.
You don't back yourself too much. Don't worry. I mean, you can't win any P's in this prediction. I don't have enough P's to wager against this. The Beyond the Arc channel only gets 16p a month, so you can win this year's revenue if you win the predictions.
We'll do it, man. I'll get my 16 pence.
Buy yourself a house.
Oh my days.
Anyway, that will wrap up today's episode of Beyond the Arc. This is probably the longest episode that we've done that hasn't been a tier list video. So
Yeah, because they're always the long ones.
but we will see you guys next week. Potentially, some first round series will have been wrapped up. I'm looking at you, Milwaukee, Chicago. By the time that we hit next week, and yeah, we will see you guys then. Make sure before we end, if you've got to the end of the video, well done you. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. Make sure
Follow
you're
the TikTok.
yeah, follow the TikTok, bta.podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter, even though we don't use Twitter. It's all in the description.
Just follow us anyway.
Yeah, follow us
We'll use it if you follow us.
and we will see you guys next time. Peace.